absolutely tremendous safety risk that should not be allowed. And I request that the town deny PSNH the permit to put that line over that municipal road for that reason. Issue number 2, allowing PSNH to destroy all those acres of mature forests. Okay, there's wetlands as well. I have wetlands. I have a plot plan here, but I'm not going to show it to you. Trust me. I have designated wetlands by the town that are on there, and there's other wetlands along this corridor that they propose to put on, which is a very sensitive environment. In fact, if that wetland goes, I know my house is going to start flooding, and then the house above me is going to start flooding, because that's how the chain of water goes from house to house to house and into the wetlands. If they dredge and fill that, then there's going to be no place for that water to go. So then they're going to say, well, we won't dredge and fill it, we'll just run our poles through it and over it. Okay? That might solve the flooding problem, but it's not going to solve the wildlife problem. Okay? We have a habitat there of many, many animals. It's like being in North Conway there. I have deer, I have turkey, I have pheasant, I have fox, we have cottontail rabbits, and we have lady slipper orchids. The latter of the two are both endangered species. Okay, now we all know what was going on up at the yogurt factory up there in Londonderry, where they were not able to develop land because there was endangered species there. We have that same issue here in our neighborhood. And it's not just on my house. It's along that whole corridor. So again, I request that the Conservation Commission deny PSNH the permission to run their power lines and their easement and their 100-foot corridor along this environment, because it will destroy the environment. Issue number 3, as I touched on a minute ago, like I said, I had a market analysis done of my home. We're going to lose a lot of money. You know, and I'm not crying on your shoulder. I know, you know, we're all adults, and you know, as the bumper sticker says, you know, blank happens. Well, that might be fine and good, but maybe this doesn't have to happen, okay? If you folks lose, we pay a lot of taxes. I don't know if we have a lot of nice homes. Our neighborhood is beautiful. I mean, everybody takes care of it. You know, you drive up and down that street, and all the streets, summer, autumn, snowflake, everybody mulches, everybody takes care of the land. We take pride in our neighborhood, okay? And our property values reflect that, and the town benefits from that. Okay, they benefit from that with tax revenue. You're going to lose a lot of tax revenue to this town. Okay, and what that's going to do, and budgets are tight, the economy is bad, so every dollar, you know, I know the budget for the town is in the millions of dollars, I understand that, and I don't know exactly how much money you're going to lose when all these property values get you know, analyzed, but it's going to be, I would think, in the tens of thousands of dollars every year. And you multiply that over 10 years, you know, you may be talking, you know, $1 million or more. And that's going to affect things that we care about, like firefighters, policemen, school teachers, programs for the kids. That's why we pay these high taxes. If you look at your tax bill, you know, the state is a little bit, you know, there's another item there for I'm not sure what it is, but then you see the town, and the town is enormous. It's probably 2/3 of my whole tax bill.
School's 2/3.
The school, okay, okay.
We're 1/3.
You're only 1/3?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're 30 million, they're 60 million.
Is that right?
Yeah, but that's just a fact of a good community with a good school district, so.
Right, and we contribute to that,
Yep.
and we don't mind contributing. We like that. I mean, that's, you know, we don't mind paying the high taxes, but you're going to lose tax revenue. And again, I'll remind you, this is for a project that's only going to serve Derry. And Londonderry is going to be compromised. They're going to lose tax revenue for a project that doesn't even affect this town. There's another issue here at number 4, and this is probably the most compelling one of all. We believe that there's alternatives to this. They don't have to do this to achieve their goal. There's other ways to do this. Alternatives have been discussed by PSNH, but they won't tell you what they were. I've spoken with Jim Mayo, the project manager. I've spoken with his boss's boss, who I mentioned before, Steve Johnson. I've talked with both of those folks, and neither one of them will discuss with me what alternatives were discussed by PSNH. They said, this is what we decided, this is the way it's going to be. And I asked them, what's the secret? Why don't you just tell us? What else did you decide? What other alternatives may you have decided? So then I can say, oh, of course, this makes more sense. But they won't, which means that if they're not letting this be analyzed, and I know, I know we don't have any business getting into the business of PSNH. I know that's not, you know, it's not a public-owned company, I don't think, that we have right to that. But you would think that with concerned citizens like this, and the damage they're going to do to our neighborhood, and the money that we're going to lose in property values, and the wildlife that's going to be affected, and the safety issues of that line coming over the street, you would think that they would say, you know what? This is what we talked about, but we chose this. But they won't do that. So I'm asking the council to find out what all of their other alternatives were and why they chose this. And I would be happy at another time, and I know, you know, we're all pressed for time here, and I don't want to belabor this point. I have a lot of alternatives that I think, you know, again, I'm not an electrical engineer, but it's not rocket science. Okay, there's other avenues for this to be achieved, as opposed to ripping through our neighborhood and destroying our lives. Thank you.
Okay. Dave, if you don't mind, just kind of summarize for us the discussions that you've had with the folks here, and kind of give us a benchmark for what the town's role in this is, what our position is, and what we can and can't do, just to kind of level set the discussion.
Sure. Well, we checked with town council. In fact, Andre, if you want to speak regarding your discussions with our town council, essentially we have a very, very limited role in which we're responsible for issuing poll permits. As long as they don't impede traffic and are placed properly, that's the extent of our authority. But Andre, could you expand upon that at all?
No, basically, you nailed it right there. When we asked the question of town council, again, my name is Andre Guerin, I'm the community development director, and we have to ask what the town's role would be with regard to this PSNH right away. And Mr. Connell and I spoke at length a few times with regard to that, and basically it's limited to what David has spoken about, to pole placement, and that is a permit that is issued by the town council.
Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
What is the purpose of pole placement? What does that mean? Why is there an issue with pole placement? The
reason, and you touched on it a little bit earlier regarding, do you want to situate the pole in such a degree that it will not impact any passing traffic underneath the pole as it crosses town and public right-of-ways?
So in other words, you don't want to put a pole in the middle of the street.
Or you don't want to have the sag points of the line to restrict any height of vehicles that would normally use that type of street.
Because that's a safety issue.
Correct.
Correct. Well, it's a safety issue if that line comes down on Seasons Lane, okay, and it traps 81 homes in an ice storm with no fuel, no power.
No, I understand.
I know. I'm just saying.
We talked about this at length.
We're talking about safety. Let's talk about safety.
Yeah. So we have to be careful not to get into a debate here, just from the standpoint of what we're doing here. A couple questions for you. I'm naive about these things, but I find it kind of surprising that you haven't been able to have some kind of a roundtable like this with PSNH. So has that been attempted, and have they not honored a request to sit down and actually have a community discussion? I find that very unusual.
I didn't say that.
Okay.
Okay, I didn't say that.
Okay, I didn't say you said that.
Okay,
either.
what I said is I've had conversations with Jim Mayo and Steve Johnson about this issue. We just found out about this. Well, I found out about this about 3 weeks ago. So I'm just trying to find out as much as I can about this. I've had many conversations with both those gentlemen. Have we requested a meeting with all of them? No.
Okay.
I figured I would go to the town council first because, you know, you're going to hold a lot more weight than we are.
We're not so sure about that.
Well, we have faith in you.
Dave, I don't know how to respond to that because, you know, it appears that we don't have a legal or statutory ability to influence this. unless you guys are telling us differently. In other words, we have a